Hey guys, what is going on? It is Anthony here, back again with another video, and today we're going to be checking out the Ernie Ball Music Man JP7 Mystic Dream reissue. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I hope you all had a fantastic week as we speak on today's video. We're just gonna go right into the specs. So today we're gonna be reviewing this Ernie Ball Music Man JP7 Mystic Dream reissue from 2016, I believe is what this one is from at least. The specs are as follows. We have, of course, the Mystic Dream finish, which is like this chameleon-like finish that changes depending on how it reflects with the lighting. It's hard to get this on camera, but we have two DiMarzio humbuckers. On mine, I did switch out the pickups, but the original pickups as follows are the DiMarzio Crunch Lab and Liquefier. We have a volume, we have a tone, we also have a piezo volume. And we also have, when you go to the middle position on your toggle switch down here, on your main selector switch, it turns into a coil tap sound. And then we have, you know, the typical piezo versus magnetic blend kind of switch up here, where you could switch between the two or blend them like any John Petrucci signature Music Man, whether it be the Majesties or any other JP for that matter. We got 24 medium jumbo stainless steel frets. We also have a rosewood fingerboard. We also have, I believe, a 14-inch radius, if I remember correctly. We also have a bird's eye maple neck on the back. We have Shaler locking tuners, and we also have a matching headstock to go along with it with the JP shield. And I think that's about it, as well as the JP custom floating bridge that you expect on any other, you know, JP7 or JP15 or Majesty for that matter. So as you guys are aware, the Mystic Dream finish is like the OG iconic John Petrucci signature finish that you would just want on at least one of his signature guitars, whether it be from the past, the present, or now. It's just such an iconic finish that they sometimes bring back from time to time on like the newer JPs, but this is a reissue of the classic JP shape with the Mystic Dream finish. But I contemplated though if this video was worth doing because as you guys know, I do not currently have the original pickups that come with this guitar installed currently. Right now I have a DiMarzio Imperium 7 and a PAF 7 in the neck. That all said, I do still have the original pickups. In the future, if you guys want me to do an updated video with those pickups, comment down below and I'd be happy to do so. But as of right now, I'm still gonna review this guitar as if it had the Crunch Lab and Liquefier. Just keep in mind that the sound demos that you hear later on this video are gonna reflect more of course, these pickups that are currently in the guitar, but I'll review it as such in both ways, in the best way I can. So that all said, what are my first impressions of this guitar? The first thing I gotta say is I absolutely love the ergonomic design of this JP. As happy as I am with like the JP15 and the JP13 that I have and the evolution that Ernie Ball Music Man did with his signature line, one thing I do miss that the OG shape has that those don't have is this nice forearm contour on the side of the body right here, so your arm can have an even deeper resting position. I think it's super duper cool. I think it's very gig friendly. It's nice and comfortable, whether you're riffing, whether you're playing leads or doing chords. I love the classic contour that John's old body design had on his older guitars compared to now, even though the new ones are still just as equally comfortable in a different way. But there's just something super special about having that deep cutaway right here that I just love with that extra bevel. To put other things into perspective, bending on this one, I would even say in some cases is actually a lot smoother sometimes. Like I think it has to do with the radius, because if I haven't mentioned, this is like a 14-inch radius. Doing bends on this thing is just very effortless. Like you could still play fast and do all sorts of crazy stuff and play very comfortably on this guitar in terms of like how your hands feel when you have it set up right and you play it. But bending on this is just such a joy, especially when you have just the right amount of relief and just the right string gauge for your preference and how you want it to play. It works for you and it doesn't work against you. And I love that, as you would expect from a John Petrucci signature. I mean, of course, the finish looks absolutely stunning, but as far as, sound is concerned, tell you what, I'm gonna start to plug this thing in and I'll tell you guys what I think of it afterwards, just because I don't want to spoil anything and I think I've talked enough so far. So I'm gonna plug this thing in now through my Mesa Boogie JP2C. We're gonna mic up my Mesa 2x12 cabinet. I have an Eminence Carnivore on the left that I'm gonna mic up with a Shure SM57. We're gonna boost it with a Maxon OD808. We're gonna talk about the sound afterwards. That way you guys can hear this for yourself, because I do have some, things I do wanna say and address with you guys afterwards and the pros and cons. So until then, I'll talk to you guys furthermore and hope you guys are enjoying this video thus far. So now that you guys have heard this guitar, what are the pros and cons? Starting with the pros, the first pro that we can get out of the way is playability. This thing, as you guys would typically expect, plays amazing. Again, John Petrucci's guitars do not disappoint in terms of playability and in terms of comfort. And speaking of which, the second pro is the fact that you also get this nice bevel sort of cutaway kind of here for your forearm to rest. So it's arguably even more comfortable to sometimes play this than even some of the newer Ernie Ball Music Man JP models. And I think that's an amazing touch that I wish that they would bring back more often on the newer ones to pay tribute to the old school John Petrucci design. But all that said, whether you're going with this or the newer ones, you're going to be absolutely satisfied because his guitars in general just don't disappoint. The third pro that we could talk about, of course, is the versatility, as always, between the magnetic with the piezo and the coil tap function. The coil tap function sounds great. I'm able to get some nice spanky type of stratty kind of tones. You know, does it emulate a perfect single coil? Maybe, maybe not, depending on your perception, but I think it does do a really good job of doing so. And I've always been very impressed whether it was this guitar or my other music bands where the coil tap in the middle position just did something so exceptional. And I'm really happy with it. Fret access is amazing. It's very lightweight. The basswood body, I think, contributes to how light this guitar is compared to other JP guitars that I have, as well as just the iconic Mystic Dream finish that this guitar comes with, and the nice color changing aesthetic that this guitar mirrors when you have it under certain lighting. I mean, of course, on camera, it doesn't do it justice and it's very hard to showcase it, but when you do see the Mystic Dream in person, or if you've ever seen John play it in person, and you had the privilege of doing so in the early to mid or later 2000s, then you know what I'm talking about, because the Mystic Dream it's a finish that many of us John Petrucci fans highly covet because it's just that awesome. So now that you guys have heard the pros, what are the cons of this instrument? Honestly, as much as I love this instrument, the cons that I have to speak of are things to somewhat take into consideration, but at the same time, I think they're, for the most part, pretty manageable. Now, the first con that I'm going to mention is very splitting hairs, and that is this guitar does not come with the 20 dB boost that the newer JP models come with. Now, if you're somebody that's using an overdrive pedal in front of the amplifier anyway, then the 20 dB boost is not something you're really going to use, especially if you have like a boost pedal instead of just relying on the 20 dB boost. But not gonna lie, when you do spend this kind of money, it is nice to have a 20 dB boost built into the guitar like the newer JP models, hence newer technology and, you know, advancements and all that kind of stuff that, you know, the next evolution. But this is the old school classic John Petrucci design. It doesn't take away from the versatility or playability at all. I mean, you're still getting an amazing John Petrucci signature guitar. In fact, a really classic one as well. The second con, though, I do have to talk about is the fact that, now take this with a grain of salt. I do think that this guitar does sound good in general, but I feel like, and this is more personal preference, but if we're talking about the cons here and I'm being, you know, completely honest with myself, do I like this guitar as much as my JP15 in terms of sound? To be completely frank with you guys, no. I think that this guitar, I don't know if it's the pickups or what, but even though the liquefier, when I had it in this guitar, sounded really good for leads, I felt like the crunch lab was very lacking and it was very woolly in the low end, to where I just, no matter what, if I was chugging or if I was riffing, it just had it was either too much low end or too much low mids being thrown in there, to where, I don't know, it just wasn't pushing enough bite through the amplifier. I just felt like it was too dark for my taste. Now, some of you guys may like a super heavy, you know, bass heavy type of EQ'd tone. And hey, I respect you, you know, if you prefer that, hey, more power to you. You know, I'm somebody where I don't like too dark, but I also don't like too overly bright either. You know, I like somewhere that's a good middle ground with just, you know, that plenty of bite that I love. Hence why I love the Illuminator pickups in my JP15. Now, all that being said, you know, I don't think that this guitar sounds bad with the current Imperium 7 and the PAF 7. I still think I can get some great tones out of it, but I'm kind of hitting a crossroads where after the honeymoon phase was over, because I had a guitar, you know, long story short, I had another guitar that had the DiMarzio Imperiums in it that I sold, and I always missed that tone, so I thought I could put that in this guitar. And I'm starting to realize just because one guitar has the same pickups doesn't mean it's going to sound the same or necessarily always close to how the other guitar sounded. And so I'm kind of contemplating, should I put this back to stock and just change out the Crunch Lab and go with an illuminator in this guitar? Should I get a Sonic Ecstasy 7 and put it in here? I'm kind of in a crossroads because I wanted this to have more bite with the basswood body, because this is an instrument where, as much as I love it, one thing I have to say is a tough pill to swallow for me is, even though it has a decent amount of resonancy, it's still kind of a dead instrument of the sense where it's kind of muted and compressed with the basswood, to where the low end kind of gets congested, to where it's just not aggressive enough in the high end sometimes, at least on the low strings. Now playing leads on this thing, I don't really have any complaints, honestly. It's just more so, when I'm playing the aggressive low end stuff. But it also just depends on my mood too. Sometimes, like, I don't know, I have a very love-hate relationship when it comes to, how this guitar sounds rhythmically speaking. Lead-wise, I'm able to make it work for me and it sounds fine. Again, maybe I'm just being too picky, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this, even though this is a review video. Do you guys think I should just put the liquefier back in and get a DiMarzio illuminator? Do you think I should just get a whole other pickup set? Let me know down below in the comments, but that's one con that I will say is a bigger con. But again, I do think it is manageable, and I do think there is a solution to that for my taste. But again, I know a lot of you guys love the Crunch Lab and liquefier, and I know a lot of you guys probably wouldn't even mind the DiMarzio illuminator, or sorry, DiMarzio Imperium 7 in this guitar. So either which way, let me know. So for the question that we are all waiting for, is this guitar worth it? I'll say this right now. If you can get this guitar for around $1,800 to almost $2,000, yeah, I think it's an excellent deal. But if you find these for sale for like $3,000 or $3,500, I mean, we're talking about the reissue Mystic Dream, I think at that point you might as well just get a JP7. That way you get the more premium wood, the more premium electronics, and just the other upgrades in general. This is still an excellent instrument, and I think Ernie Ball Music Man still did a great job with it. Like I said, I mean, just for nostalgia's sake, just for, diehard John Petrucci fans, I think the Mystic Dream JP is still worth owning for just all that alone. Even if, you do have a JP15 or a JP13 for that matter, or a Majesty. It has a different purpose, and I think it also just is sort of a different beast, even though they're both based on like the same kind of shape. It's just this one has this deeper forearm contour to make some playing a bit easier, and even when you're gigging with this thing, it's nice and light. I really like it a lot, and that's why, honestly, if I have to rank this guitar, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10 guitar picks. I think this is just a really great guitar. I think it's a very inspiring guitar to play. I don't think it sounds as good as the JP15 or JP13 for that matter, or even my Majesties. But I will say this guitar does still sound great. It's just all about finding your preference and finding the right pickups that are going to work for you with the basswood body. Again, maybe I'm being too nitpicky about that. It's just been a constant challenge for me because, again, I really love this instrument. I really love the inspiration it gives me when I'm writing with it, or I'm just jamming with it here, or even just playing some of the classic Dream Theater stuff from even the 2000s with it. It's a lot of fun to play. And it's just a very eye-catching finish, if I haven't mentioned. So all that said, please take that with a grain of salt that I have mentioned. I'm not down talking this guitar. Ernie Ball Music Man is a company that I truly, genuinely believe in, and they really make instruments that I'm proud to play. I'm not endorsed or anything of that nature. I'm just being completely honest with myself, despite my love for the brand. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment any suggestions that you have for what you'd like to see on this channel. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.